You have entered the AquaBrain. I'm your Virgil Drew. I'm going to go ahead and be chatting with a good friend of mine I met back in junior high. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Greg Ruby. How the hell are you, man?
Hey, Andy, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
Good.
So
Good
how's
to see
work?
you.
Good.
Works pretty busy. I'm actually on a leave of absence for April, just with this whole fun virus going around and stuff. So
Sure.
just taking some safety precautions, and I work in a pharmacy over there at Costco, so it's like, not only are you around people in a retail environment, you're also around sick people. So just trying to play it safe, look out for the kids.
Right on. Well, voluntary, involuntary?
Voluntary. Yeah,
Right
they're
on. Oh,
they're
cool.
kind of letting people come and go as they please. Well, I shouldn't say come and go as they please, but in lieu of all of that's going on, if you want to take a leave of absence, they're not holding it up against you. So that's good.
Very
so
cool.
I'll be going back on May 4th.
Right on. May the 4th be with you, I heard.
So something like that. Just trying to keep myself busy for now. I'm not used to having this much time on my hands.
Cool. Yeah. You, what are you doing with your time?
Just hanging out with the kids a lot, trying to keep them busy, trying to keep them involved in their schoolwork. They're doing, online learning now, obviously, since they're not going back to school for the rest of the year, and just kind of tinkering around with my guitar a little more, trying to get my chops back. So trying to learn to slow down a little bit, sleep a little bit, take some time for myself.
They're out the whole year?
They're out the rest of the year. Yeah.
Jeez, man.
I know.
There's
that's been a barrel of monkeys.
Yeah, I bet. There's a Chinese curse. Have you heard the Chinese curse? May you live in interesting times. You heard that one?
Yeah, you could say it's interesting. I watched part of your State of the Drew Union the other day. You were talking about kind of some of the effects it had on you and your family, and I could really relate to that, just with my kids and stuff, having so much that I had so much planned with them, and now you can't do anything. We were going to go to Seaside last week because that was supposed to be their spring break, and I was going to take them out of town for vacation for a week, but couldn't do that, which was a bummer because I've had that planned for probably 6 months now. So
and it's probably gorgeous down there right now. Maybe a little chilly.
I'm sure it is, but they have the whole downtown district down, the whole commercial district down there shut down too. So
really, and they probably
kind of like no point in driving down there and just spending a week in a hotel,
Well, and they're probably blocking people from going on the beach and everything, and all
I'm sure.
stuff too. I got into it a little bit with one of my good friends on Facebook, and actually I decided not to get into it. So I posted a comment, and then all the rebuttals, I decided I wasn't gonna. I'm like, hey, I'm not gonna have this conversation here. But yeah, dude, I think it's a shame, man. Like how I don't understand the logic with closing down these outdoor events, right? And I can understand if there's a trail, a hiking trail or something that's like heavily populated or something. I can understand like, hey, maybe limiting, like, hey, be responsible or whatever, right? But I mean, isn't that where you should be? Shouldn't you be getting sun?
Yeah.
Shouldn't you be getting fresh air? Shouldn't you be getting exercise? I just don't understand this whole thing. I really don't.
You can still go on a walk in your neighborhood, which is exciting.
Well, yeah, I went,
but that's about it. Like we can't go. Just before they put the stay-at-home order in, I started getting my kids into tennis, and they were just really digging that. And so it was kind of unfortunate that pretty much right after getting them into it, they're like, nope, you can't go to the parks anymore. Well, so I'm like, okay, well, there goes another activity that I could do with my kids.
I mean, anyway, and I know my children are not so much the little one, but the 13-year-old's losing her mind in here. I mean, it's like,
oh, I bet.
Come on, she just wants to go and socialize and all this stuff, and how bad is it really? And we can't get a straight answer anywhere. But this is not what I wanted to necessarily talk about. But I mean, it's
Sure.
It's good.
Yeah,
it's good. It's good for people
a warm-up
to know.
Topic.
It's good for people to know that, hey, it's affecting everybody, and
one way or another.
And I don't feel like people are using their brains and thinking about. I understand the idea of following the rules and all this stuff. And, I've never been one necessarily you know, I don't have a huge rap sheet or anything. I'm not somebody that's
Yeah.
going out and getting, doing whatever I want, right? But
Right.
arbitrary rules are arbitrary rules. And if you give me a good reason that I can understand that it's a logical reason, then I can get behind it. But there's some of this stuff I'm just not understanding, I think. And maybe it's the brain injury, maybe it's the aqua brain, who knows? But
there you go. Well, and I think maybe some of these, a lot of other people don't really understand what's going on too. So I think it's just a big error on the side of caution. So, only time will tell with this. But
yeah. Well,
other than that beautiful virus, what's been going on with you?
Oh man, I'm cranking these things out. Hopefully, getting a lot of entertaining and informative information out. If not, something you can just put on and listen to some interesting people talk. And yeah, well, my last one of these. So I'm trying to do 2 shows a week. One that's more of like an interview style with somebody who's got a product or a service or something like that. Try to get some of my friends some business.
That's cool.
And and then another one that's just kind of like a chat. So this is the second AquaBrain in the dark after dark that I've done. And the first one,
got it,
which is and what I'm kind of doing is just, hey, I'm just talking to we're good friends and we're old friends. I met you in junior high. And
8th grade.
8th grade. That's right.
We were 14.
I'm pretty sure I probably met you even in 7th grade at some point.
I'm sure we crossed paths. We were both at the same school, but I remember the specific time you and I, our first conversation.
Yeah. Do tell.
So we were out. You remember where we used to sneak out and go smoke cigarettes off of the junior high, right? Just off the side there. Maybe not. Maybe you weren't actually there.
Back past the baseball fields, or
kind of, yeah. Well, just kind of down closer to where my folks live, where the portables were. We'd go outside.
Okay.
You had your skateboard and you were trying to do some kick flips on it, but you were still learning and trying to land it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And this was back when I was big into rollerblading. And so it was funny because I don't remember what exactly I said to you. I think I was poking fun at you for not being able to land a kickflip.
Right.
And you looked over at me and you were like, well, can you do one? And I was like, no, man, I'm a blader. And you're like, well, fuck you then. And then I think we just like hit it off after that.
I was like, I got to be friends with this guy. He's not taking any crap. That's great. Yeah, man. So anyway, we jammed with Mason. So we were talking in that first episode. I was talking with Mason Pierce, and your name came up. And so we jammed over at his dad's house for a little bit. We tried to form a band. We never played any shows or anything. In fact, actually had I think we maybe had a handful of songs, if that even, right? But it kind of ended. Yeah. It ended because we didn't have a good place to practice, because we couldn't practice
more or less
anymore at Mason's dad's house. Do you remember what led to that?
To us to not being able to play there anymore,
right?
Oh, I think it was just Whitey's instability. I think he just got fed. He didn't realize how much noise we were going to be making down there. And you remember it scared the cat when he was trying to give it its insulin shot. So that that was like the final straw, because he kicked Mason out for the day, if you remember.
I do. Hey, did you see that episode
for pissing off the cat?
Right. Oh man, you know what? I really did enjoy Whitey though. He was
a funny character.
He was a funny character, and I think he meant well. I think but we were
kids.
We were just
sort of
harassing. We just didn't care. But okay, so in that episode we were talking about the djembe situation. Was there a hole in your djembe?
There was not a hole in it prior to us practicing there. I know that much.
Right, because I think that was like the one thing we were like, okay, we're gonna do this kind of like melodic thing, and Mason has some really good chops, on the guitar. So we were like, all right. And I think that was, I can't remember exactly how. Were you playing bass?
No, that was when I just started learning how to play the drums.
So you were playing. So we didn't even have a bassist.
No, it was just you. I don't even remember if you were playing guitar or just singing, and then hitting the djembe a little bit. I mean, it was just kind of a hodgepodge. We just kind of threw something together and tried to roll with it. But flounder
with a PH.
With a PH.
Right? Yeah. And I mean, it just, I don't know, it never got off the ground. And you and I actually, we were jamming, and we came up with a couple songs. I think when one was called Four Winds, maybe.
Yeah. I have everything that we recorded together, I think.
Oh, really?
So I mean, it was just the two of us, but we had a pretty good handful of songs that we did that were pretty good.
Yeah.
And you can't forget our one-off. The Hill. You can't forget The Hill.
The Hill was great. Yeah. That really was. That was like a
kind of a hip hoppy song.
Yeah, it was kind of a takeoff on an adventure, but then our lyrics definitely took it to a place that was a little outside of probably what we were actually doing that night, which was
a little bit.
Which was was a little exciting. We were like, all right, how are we gonna make this? Because hip hop, right? None of those guys are telling the truth. And if they,
who really knows?
If you're gonna write a hip hop song, you gotta really,
get
embellish, right?
Yeah.
So are you writing? Are you writing some songs, or are you just trying to get?
No, I mean, not as much as I'd like to. But with this time off, I've been trying to get on it a little more and just kind of get back into it. With everything that I normally have going on, I have a hard time finding any time to unwind and actually pick up the guitar. And so when I do have some downtime, it's kind of like, I just want to relax, and I don't pick it up as often as I used to, which is a shame. But it's definitely always up here. It's always on the back burner, ready to go. So
yeah, well, not the beauty about this. The current situation that we're in is we're given a lot of time to focus kind of on our passions, I guess. As long as they live within the four walls that we're in. Unfortunately, right? Because but it might be a good time to try to write some songs. I know you've been going through you went through like a huge weight differential in the last 2 years, maybe?
Few years. I mean, overall, it's been probably 5 years since I was at my largest.
Okay.
And then I'm at pretty much at my high school weight.
Oh now. Wow. So what was the total amount that you lost?
170 pounds.
170 pounds. Wow.
Yeah, from my tipping point, no pun intended.
Sure.
Down to where I'm at now, 170 pounds altogether.
So what would you say was what were some of the things that you changed that helped you make that, I mean, 170 pounds, that's a lot.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, a part of it is just that, that time of my life, I was just going through a lot of personal things, and I just kind of let everything go. I was at a desk job, and I just let myself eat whatever I wanted, however much I wanted. I drank however much I wanted. No activity really outside of just, scooting the kids around on the floor. So, but when there was a point when I got on the scale where I was just like, okay, I can't do this anymore.
That's enough.
Yeah. And so it's been slow steps along the way. I liken it to the concept called the slide edge, which is seemingly insignificant steps compounded over time, equal a greater value of what you're trying to do. So it was small stuff like, start eating a little better for a time period, start going out for walks, and just slowly introducing those things. And over time, you start to eat better. I quit drinking, quit smoking pot. That helps.
Yeah.
And just generally being more active in general.
Oh,
Really helped a
gotcha.
lot, and it's spaced out over time. It's taken me about 5 years altogether to lose all the weight. I'm still going. I'd still like to drop a little bit more, but if I don't for any reason, I'm pretty happy with where I've managed to get myself.
So besides the alcohol, would you say there was any other major thing that you cut out? You know, what, sweets or soda or anything like that?
Yeah, I don't generally do a lot of dairy. I just don't handle it very well. Um, and I've about myself for a long time. That's been a lot of it, and mostly just focusing on whole foods a lot rather than anything processed. Which I did when I was younger as well, but in the last couple of years, I've gotten into doing water fasts periodically,
Okay.
which I wouldn't recommend just a beginner to hop into it, other than just maybe a day or so. But I've done several of those over the last few years, and that helps just kind of get your glycemic index in control and kind of reset your metabolism. And there's a variety of different reasons people do it,
Yeah.
but I've made that kind of a regular part of my routine. Every few months, I'll take a couple of days off from eating, or if I have an extended time period like I do right now, I'll go on a bit more of an extended fast.
Okay, cool.
But
Wow,
that,
very
and
interesting.
just keeping consistent with it all,
Yeah.
just keeping consistent with it.
Probably a lot of the snacking, I would imagine. I find myself doing that right now. I mean, I just had a couple of packs of fruit snacks. It's like, oh, man, and unsatisfying. And I just, it's like, oh, great. Oh, great. I did
Yeah,
that, it's
yeah.
crap. But
It's interesting if you really sit back and think to yourself, am I hungry or am I just bored? A lot of times the snacking is just sort of habitual.
yeah,
I notice that in myself. Like if I sit down with the kids, like they like to have snacks when we do movie night and stuff, and I'll be sitting there and I'm like, I'm actually not hungry. I shouldn't be eating these gummy bears and popcorn and stuff
yeah.
like that. So just making that conscious connection, is
How
interesting in itself.
right. How are the kids?
They're doing pretty good. They miss going to school. They miss their
Yeah,
friends.
yeah, yeah.
I think they just miss the normal routine, and obviously, like I was saying earlier, we can't really get out and do as much as we were doing before. But I mean, overall, they're doing really well. So
Have they
10 and 7 now, so they're getting
geez,
up
man,
there.
it's
Chloe
crazy.
is she's pretty much as tall as her mother now,
Wow.
which is crazy. She's a tall one. She's real tall. She's actually the tallest in her class, I believe.
And she's a baller, right? You guys are
She is,
were
yeah.
you coaching?
This would have been her 5th year. She would have started playing again this week, and I would have been coaching again. But of course, the Boys and Girls Club is shut down, so no basketball for her. I did coach Silas's team this year as well, over winter quarter. That was his first season as basketball.
Cool. So
So
he
they're
got
both
to
just really digging it.
that's cool. He got to do it before it was
Yeah,
over. Did they
yeah.
cut it short or did it end before?
No, not virus related, I would say, but I have noticed over the last few years that they've kind of slowly cut the winter season a little
Oh, yeah.
shorter, because the first year I coached, we had like 10 games. And then
Oh,
this last time when I coached with Silas, first time coaching a boys team, by the way, that was a unique experience. But he only had like 5 or 6 games this year.
wow. They probably
So
charge the same though, I'd imagine. Or
they charge the
more.
same, of
Right.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, it's a good cause. I support the Boys and Girls Club and what their mission statement is and
Yeah.
stuff, rather than, I could take them to the Kirkland Parks and Recreation, but they don't really do the same thing with the money that the Boys and Girls Club would
Sure.
do. So,
Sure. So it was Wags gonna coach with you again or this
no,
year?
he helped me out the first year, and then part of the second year, that was before he went on his first trip
Okay, yeah.
over to Asia and all along those parts.
Man, that's wild.
But this is I coached myself this year, and then Chloe was actually my assistant coach for Silas's team this year.
Wow.
So
Cool,
that was a
very
lot of
cool.
fun. It was challenging for me, because I'm trying to teach her how to coach as well as coach these 10 boys. So it was a fun experience. It was really good for her, and good for her to get the other side of the game, not just playing, but what it's like to coach. And I think it gives her a larger perspective on what the game's about, because her her whole goal, I mean, she wants to, go to college on a basketball scholarship. She wants to play for the Huskies and go to UW. She wants to
all right.
be on the Seattle Storm. And, I'm like, I want to do whatever I can to support that.
Yeah,
so,
no, that's awesome.
It's unfortunate that she doesn't get to play this year, because last year when she played, they were having trouble with the numbers. So they didn't have enough girls for me to have a team to coach last year. So she had a different coach, which, he was a good coach. I think we have different values as coaches, him and myself. And so I don't think that she benefited as much from him as he would have if I'd have continued with her.
Yeah.
But, we'll see. I mean, we're still out in the backyard shooting hoops, and
do you have a hoop?
I'm trying to get her to. We do, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, and it's adjustable, which is nice because both Silas's league and Chloe's league, they play at different heights. So it's nice to be able to adjust it.
Very cool. Very cool. Hey, well, I would be remiss if I didn't bring up Ernest Bridge. If I got you on.
Oh, okay.
Because that was your
one of the many. That was kind of the big focus
for a lot of years. I mean, I remember seeing Ernest Bridge. Now, am I misremembering, or because I remember, I swear, what was that? What was the all ages place in Bellevue, like right across from the park?
Oh, Ground Zero.
Yeah. Did you guys ever play there? Because
we didn't. I may have with a band I was in with Mark years and years ago that you might have been to.
Wait a minute. I'm
Mark
thinking
Hanshin.
The Tractor. Did you guys play at the
Tractor?
You guys played at the Tractor.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, you came out to that one. That was the one that was that the one you filmed, or was that a different? That was ours.
I think so. Somewhere I got the footage for that. I don't know if that
was our CD release party that you filmed.
Oh, yeah. Now, who was it? Who was in that band with you?
Well, you remember Benjamin Vale.
I do remember Ben.
My ex-wife CK, she was the percussion player, and then we had a mutual friend named Brian Kidd who was in the band as well.
Okay, yeah, Brian.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So, and then early on, there was our good friend Chris Gallegos, whom I'm sure you've met, but might not remember him unless you saw his face. But he played for a little while and then went off to college, and then it was just a 4-piece from there forward. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah, and they were actually a band before I started playing with them. They had a different bass player before I joined them, and I was actually the recording engineer for them before I even joined. But Steve Basso, the guy that played bass before, he jet. And I wasn't too satisfied with the band I was in at the time, but I still wanted to play. And so I was like, well, this, seems like it's a pretty good opportunity for me to kind of jump in. And, so that's sort of where musically I sunk into the band. I had been associated with them previous to that, though.
Oh, gotcha. Wow. Mm-hmm. I never knew that. Yeah. Are there any videos and I may have never actually gotten footage to you.
I have it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, no, I have it.
Are there any videos or anything up online, or can people find your music or anything?
I'm sure if you search hard enough, you could find one. I mean, we split up like 10 years ago now at this point, so I'm sure.
Wow.
I'm sure if you're trying to look for it, you're gonna find it on like page 30 of a Google search. But
the way back, back machine.
Yeah, but I still have all the material that we did as a band, all of the show. I've got a few different shows that we did live video recordings, a bunch of practices, a bunch of in studio recordings, all of our old flyers, and we were together for a long time. We were together for probably 5 or 6 years, which is the longest I've been in any one band. I mean, I've been in bands since high school, but that one was definitely a main focus for the 4 of us at that time.
So I was reading your comment when maybe it wasn't your comment, but at some point you said you were in a band with Tim, because we had brought Tim up in our last chat.
Yeah.
How did that go? How was that? What did
that
he play?
was? Let's see if I can remember how that came up. So Tim Inman was in a band with Mark Hanshin, whom you know fairly well. And he's a good friend of mine. But they were practicing at the same place that PBS Peanut Butter Slut was practicing in their basement. That grungy old basement over there in Kirkland. And it just so happened that they were looking for a bass player at the time, and I wasn't in a band. And I was like, well, guitar is my primary instrument, but I mean, I can kind of tinker around on the bass a little bit. And so they were practicing, and I hopped on the bass and played around with them for a little bit. And then like a week later, we played our first show out
Wow.
at, well, it was called the Lake Forest Roadhouse Inn at that point. I don't even know if that venue it's a different name if it's still there, but it's
Like
off
a
522 behind the Jack in the Box out there. Kind of like Kenmore Bothell area.
Yeah, okay.
But
You take
yeah,
that,
yeah.
you're
So Tim
going
was the
in,
drummer for that band.
Tim was the drummer?
Yeah, he was the drummer for that band. Sarah One was the name.
Sarah One.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you remember that?
Yeah, I remember the name.
Yeah.
See,
yeah.
I just need a little prodding. Like, oh yeah, wait a minute, that's right.
Yeah. So that was we did that for a little while, and Tim kind of he just kind of faded out. I mean, he had some things going on.
Yeah.
Just kind of became further and further unstable. And Mark and I just at some point decided, you know what, we need to move on, just the two of us, and figure out what we're going to do from here, and start writing new material. We kind of repackaged the band. We had a different name. We started writing new songs. We didn't really use any of our formal songs going forward, which CK also later played in that band as well, but she was on keyboard for that band as opposed to percussion, which she played for Ernest Bridge.
Huh. We and Mason, I was rewatching that interview, and I think he was going to say something about there was just so much talent back in that era. Like in our group of friends, there was so much talent, and it seems like for whatever reason we all just kind of went our separate ways and just
you mean like musically?
Yeah, I mean, it just seemed like, I know Ryan's definitely, made I wouldn't say a career necessarily, because I know he does other things. I don't think it's it's not a sole source of income, but he definitely he definitely is a heck of a musician. I mean, he plays guitar, sings, and
no
bass,
one does that.
and I mean, he's all over the place, and he's actually plays out a lot, a lot of cover bands and stuff, but he does original stuff too, and did the open mic for a long time. I remember running into you at the open mic. That was pretty fun. That was
yeah.
I think that was Ryan's birthday or something.
Yeah, either Ryan or I think it was Ryan's birthday. Yeah, we all came out and went up there. But Ryan, God, I played with him for a long time as well back in the day. Junior high, and we had a band that we played in at the same time that he was playing in Peanut Butter Slut as well. That also had Ben Vale as the vocalist. That was our senior year of high school.
Okay, what was the name of that band?
Red Moon.
Red Moon.
Yeah, played one show.
What?
Yeah, down at the Kirkland Performance Center. But we were together for like a year, and we had like an album's worth of material. But as per the commonality of those days, we were having drummer issues. I think that was always everybody's issue back in the day.
Yeah.
When the internet was still pretty primitive, you couldn't just pop onto Craigslist or wherever and pick and choose. It was just kind of like who you knew,
right?
And we didn't know anybody that played the drums. So
I know, man. It seems like I've run into a lot of people that play the drums out here in Boise. It's seems like there's not although to get them to play with me has been an issue. So I basically was like, all right, I guess the band thing's not for me.
Yeah. And I'm kind of in that same boat now. It's just I did it for so long, that I mean, in a lot of ways I miss it. It was so fun getting up on stage and playing out late and rocking out with a band, and that exciting moment when you all get your song right for the first time and stuff. But then on the same token, I'm just like, I'm in bed by 10 o'clock at the latest on the weekends, and there's just no staying out till 3 o'clock in the morning waiting for the bar to close to collect your payment, and then you load all your stuff in the truck and then drive all the way back. I mean, it just it was a lot of fun. It was a very great way to spend my 20s, but I don't think I have the energy for all that jazz anymore.
Yep. Well, see, and I never got to. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. I actually moved out here, and I did get to play a live show at a park party with the one guy I was jamming with, and then a coworker of ours stepped in and played bass, and he actually the first time he ever played with us was right before the show. We practiced in my garage and went over the song. So it was a mess. Anyway, if you can find if you can find that footage somewhere on Kathy's Facebook or something, I don't know. It's pretty bad. But hey, I at least I got to experience.
Well, you got
it,
up there though. That's what counts.
I did get up there, yes.
Yeah.
And it's funny. We showed up and we're like, "Where's the power?" There wasn't enough plugins to plug in the tuner. So my my guitar was out of tune. But we had it was a good thing actually that this guy had stepped in on bass and he had, for whatever reason, he had a couple extension cords in his truck that actually made it happen because they just didn't come prepared. So anyway, I guess that's at least I got to experience that, right? An unprepared venue that.
Yeah, it happens. It happens. I remember Furnace Bridge. We played a show out in Oak Harbor one time, and one of Ryan's bands played along with us. I forget which one he was in at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But we got out there, and I guess it was partly my fault because I didn't check with the venue to see what kind of equipment they have. But you can suffice it to say pretty much every venue is going to have a PA system. Well, this one did.
Yeah.
This one didn't.
Oh, geez.
No. And so luckily, I'm pretty sure it was Ryan's band we played with that night. They thought ahead, unlike us, and they either packed a PA or they just brought along some extra equipment, just in case.
Yeah.
And so we were kind of able to put it together, but I mean, it was like a hodgepodge. I think the vocals were going through a guitar amp and but we made it work. It was interesting. We played it like this. What was it? Some kind of like army base bar or something like that, where they go with their families to unwind after a week so that was kind of funny because it was just, we were really out of our element. We're on the other side of the state and it's like out in the middle of nowhere, and we just we didn't know how the demographic was going to react to our music.
Yeah. You guys were good. Fun. You guys were pretty good though. I think that as far as you weren't super abrasive. At least from my memory, it wasn't super abrasive music. It was kind of a little bit.
We were a little bit more movement based, I think.
Okay.
Just within scales and stuff like that. And we didn't really have a formulaic song, where it was verse, chorus, verse. It was just kind of a lot of our songs came out of jams that we had in our practices, and we just kind of built off of together as a band. So there wasn't really ever any one songwriter in the band. Most of that stuff. I mean, we all contributed songs of our own to the band, but the majority of them all just came out of improv sessions and practice. And so,
we're hey,
you can hear it. You can hear it in the music.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. Well, hey, if anybody can find any Ernest Bridge stuff, it's definitely worth checking out. Definitely worth checking out, Greg. Thanks for joining me here on In the Brain, Greg. It was great talking to you, catching up. Did I freeze?
Yeah, for sure, man. Thanks for having me on.
Please comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell so you know when we put new videos out. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Brain Aqua. This has been AquaBrainTV. Remember to keep your head up and keep those knees bent.